I'm not sure I remember all of the original dream. It seems like a long time ago. I know there was a prince that loves me beyond measure. We have a cute little house with a front porch swing, a dog, a cat, and 2 or 3 children. Yes, my children will be beautiful. A girl that looks like me, a boy that looks like his father, the prince, a baby on the way, and well, we won't care what it is, just as long as it's healthy. My children will be smart, well-behaved, and adored by friends and family. Travel, well, that'll be a must. Family vacations to the beach, museums, and all the amusement parks. Oh, and the prince and I will need regular weekend getaways. We have tons of family and friends, so leaving the children behind would never be a problem. After all, our children are well-behaved and adorable.
Isaac, sit down, please.
Yes, I married my prince. But our reality sure doesn't resemble my young girl dreams. A house full of kids, and they don't look like either of us. No dogs or cats. They just wouldn't be safe. Family vacations? Not really. Weekend getaways? Would be nice, but nearly impossible. Finding someone to care for our children for even a few hours, let alone a weekend, is just hard. I'm pretty sure no one dreams of having a child with special needs, but that's my reality. I love my prince and my children, but this autism thing has really thrown me for a loop. It sure would be great if there was a survival guide, you know, to help us parents out.
My best tip is never lose hope for your child, because they're capable of so much more than we even think.
With our experience, it's been fair but firm with him is the best results we've had.
Get the most support you can from people. I'm starting to find more groups, more friends with autism, and to also get into early intervention, the sooner the better.
Let him do what he wants as long as he's safe.
You celebrate every little accomplishment with them. To be flexible, know that if you're going to go out, there's going to be a meltdown, and you have to try to work around those and work with him or her and try to find those things that work best for them.
You can't blame yourself, and you just have to just let things slide. You can't take everything to heart.
There is challenging behavior that is associated with autism for sure. It's not every child. There's varying degrees of autism among the spectrum of children, but a lot of common problem behaviors that you would see: aggression, physical aggression, self-injury. Socially, the interactions may be perceived as odd or different. There may not be eye contact, physical touch, direct communication. There may not be the two-way communication that we normally see. There's a lot of other behavioral differences that you may see too. Echolalia, repeating words over and over again, you see a lot. Stereotypy, which is the repetitive movement, the hand flapping and the body rocking, is super common behaviorally among people with autism. And additionally, there are some other behavioral components that may not be as obvious to the public. Food selectivity, texture selectivity. Kids may be very sensory seeking. They may want to touch everything, taste everything, smell everything. May seem very odd because it's not something you would normally touch, taste, or want to smell.
The best thing you can do is first develop patience and a big sense of humor. I fall back on these 2 character traits daily. Without them, you're going to need therapy.
If you were a caregiver coming to my house for the first time, what we've done in the past, we have that person come over the week before or sometime before, and we show them around the house. We show them all the doors that are locked because we don't want our son to get in there. We show them how they can get in. We show them where we would put his dirty diapers. We show them where the emergency contacts are. We talk to them about all of the neighbors around our home and about where he's allowed to go and where he's not allowed to go, and maybe some neighbors where he tends to like to go in their house. So if he comes up missing, they maybe could check there first.
I look for somebody who is very patient, tolerant, somebody who can understand his needs and disabilities, somebody who loves children and can be attentive just to him because he's very active.
My experience with parents of special needs children, they feel like they're fighting this battle alone, and they're not. And I'm telling you that to have autistic children and autistic adults in your life, it adds to my life. My life is so much more complete because of my association with these people. It's put life into balance, what's important and what's not important.
So when you're looking for a caregiver for your child, I would say one of the number one things is you want to look for someone who's going to be a peer model. You want your child to model typical behavior, so you want someone to be a model for your child. You want someone who they can befriend and who can be a social experience for them. Second, definitely someone who treats your child with respect, talks to them in an age-appropriate way, and of course someone who can be calm, someone who can learn to not be afraid, and who can treat them like a person.
My child is currently obsessed with his diapers. This week, I'm learning how to reupholster my mom's favorite wingback chair. The web has tutorials on how to fix almost anything.
To play at her level, to do what she would like to do. She likes to be engaged with people. She may want to read, she may want to do a puzzle, she may want to just talk to you and find out what you know.
Anytime that we can get out in the community and let these kids do what any neurotypical teenager would do, if it's the movies, it's Lagoon, just giving them just that joy of experiencing what every teenager wants to experience. That's the biggest joy, that you can bring to them.
The best way not to be afraid to do this, because a lot of people are, it's out of their comfort zone. I'm unusual because I wasn't raised that way, but most people, it is out of their comfort zone, is not to be afraid. We have to do things every day we're afraid to do, and we have to do them regardless if it's our work or whatever. And you can't just jump into somebody's, be that close to them right off, but you can take little steps. You can ask the parents what they like. You can just try to befriend them and let them know you're a friend, and however that might be. It's different with different children, and it takes a long time. A lot of times it takes more than once or twice. You need to become part of their routine, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or whatever, then it gets a lot easier. But the biggest reward of it is just the satisfaction of feeling that you've got a connection there, and that this, you learn to love them, and you feel like they learn to love you.
I don't think that a caregiver has a certain look, age, type. I think it's someone who has a big heart, who loves the people that we're working with, and who is willing to learn. I think that's a very important thing.
The volume full blast is how my child likes to watch television. Well, I glued the volume button right where I want it to be.
I find these kids fascinating. They do not have a diminished intelligence by any means. They have an altered intelligence. And I think the real challenge, as much for those children and those people fitting into our society, is us reaching out to them to see everything they can do to enrich our lives and to help us understand things that are difficult for us. But we need to take time to get through that barrier, that wall they have. Maybe in some way, you've affected their life and made life a little easier for the parents and a little funner for them. And especially if they can feel comfortable and relaxed around you without feeling stressed and the anxiety that they feel a lot of times.
Yes, my child is unique. So what if he wants to wear pajamas and cowboy boots everywhere we go? He doesn't look half as ridiculous as most people trying to wear skinny jeans.
But I do talk to the families to see as much as I can know about the child. Like, do they have a favorite toy? Like, is there a favorite video? What do they do to soothe themselves? One would take all the DVDs out of every case and then line up every room of the wall. But to know that that was a way that they soothe. So I guess you don't have to be an expert on autism, but just like all of my children I gave birth to were different, every autistic child's different too. It's not like, oh, you're autistic, so you must fit in this lump. They're individuals. They all have their own personalities and their own likes and their own challenges. So to find out what's important to them, what they do to self-soothe.
We used to have this sensory sack. It's a lycra material, and it's like a big sack, and it has an opening on the top. And so he would hop in there, and then we'd swing him or drag him, and he'd push against that, and that resistance feeling helped soothe him.
He really likes to have his own space. He doesn't like people to be in his face. But with him, you couldn't really be his friend. He'd have to be your friend first. He really likes candy bars. He likes soda pop. If you wanted to be his friend, you'd bring him something like that and ask him to sit down at the table. Here's your surprise, enjoy. And then you'd stay in the same vicinity. That way he'd be kind of used to you and he would relate. This person shared with me. He would be able to recognize that as a friend. We would teach him friend with sign language, and then he would become accustomed to that. It's usually kind of a slow process, but eventually he warms up to people.
So as a caregiver coming into the home, you have to be prepared to be flexible. You have to be prepared to follow a schedule and be consistent, to set clear guidelines and expectations, to have a sense of humor, which is one of the defining characteristics of enjoying this job that we have. You have to have fun. You have to enjoy the people as people, recognize the gifts and abilities that they have.
If a child's arm, head, leg gets stuck between staircase bars, massage the area with oil and it should slip out easily.
When I was watching a little boy who was probably 4 or 5, a neighbor, and he was just playing, and like I say, he didn't communicate, and I thought I had just baby-proofed that house so well, but phone rang, you get the phone, in a second. He was in the kitty's litter box eating litter. That's the most scared I've ever been. I thought I had just really made some little boy sick, and he didn't have any reactions at all. He was fine.
I had one that said to me one day, "You do not look very good today. You look very tired and your hair is kind of messy, like you didn't have time to fix it." And I smiled because I did not find that he was trying to be rude. I knew he was being literal, that's probably exactly what it was, and he was just being very frank and honest with me, and they are not intimidated for those things.
I need to write a book and sell these next tips. Well, you'd probably figure it out for yourself anyway. I would call it Every Prepared Home Needs 6 Boxes. In it, I would share some tips I've learned the hard way. I mean, by experience. Safety is always first priority. Box number 1 is your lock it up box. Keep all your cleaners, bug sprays, painting supplies, automotive liquids, or anything else that's toxic to a minimum, and then lock it up. In fact, it's just best to use all natural or organic products when you can, just in case. Box number 2 is a sensory box. This is for entertainment and soothing. Fill this box up with squishy, pokey, fuzzy items that will pique the child's curiosity. Be creative and switch it up. Box 3 I call the Fix-It box. I have a plastic tub that I can grab to fix most anything. It has crazy glue, Gorilla Glue, wire, assorted colored markers to repair chips and nicks, old towels, Mr. Clean magic erasers. They really are magic. Wipes, goof off, needles and thread, to restuff stuff, and cleaning brushes. Box 4. Da da da! the first aid box, well stocked with lots of colorful Band-Aids. Box 5 is the treat/bribe box. Fill this box up with rewards and goodies for good behavior. Yes, I know you're not supposed to bribe your child, but let's be realistic. My child has autism. If he's headed toward a mega meltdown and a bag of M&Ms is going to calm him down, well, we're both going to eat some M&Ms. Box 6 is a small travel box. This is to be used in the car, airplanes if we must, doctor appointments, church meetings, or any place where they need to be still for a while. Remember, these should be age appropriate with nothing loud or obnoxious in them. I'm sure there's more boxes that could be created, but let's not scare off our caregivers. When a new caregiver comes to your house, show him where the boxes are kept. Explain the rules and routines, and leave them emergency numbers.
I had a young girl in high school who wanted to do a service project and learn about autism, and she asked if she could come over and spend some time with Marcy. And she asked if I could prep her, and I told her bring a bunch of puzzles, games. She just wants to be with you, you know, enjoy your time with her. At the end of a couple of hours that she spent with her, she was amazed. She did not have any idea what autism was. She loved Marcy. She was astounded at what these children are. They're true blue. They're, you know, they're black and white. They're just pure love.
There are some definite challenges in caring for people with autism. It's really difficult to meet their needs when you can't communicate with them properly. Not being able to understand what they want and not being able to give it to them in the way that they want is a huge barrier. You have no idea what they want to say, what they need, if they're in pain. That communication barrier is a huge problem. And additionally, when there is problem behavior and when there is a problem, they react to consoling and discipline and all the typical things that we do as parents differently than other kids. So all of those things have to be different. You have to treat people with autism differently than you would a normal, typical child.
My son loves movies, but he scratches the DVDs. We use old-fashioned videotapes, and we stockpile old videotape machines from the thrift store.
People are just people. Some of us have disabilities, emotional, and some of us have disabilities that were too critical, and autism children have a hard time expressing how they feel. Some don't talk at all, but they have honest emotions, and they love and accept unconditionally.
A really cool way you can build relationships with them is by paying attention to what they want and what they need and bringing those things with you. If you're associated with all the awesome things that they love, you probably will become one of those awesome things that they love.
He just has a way with people. If he likes somebody, you'll definitely know. And if he doesn't like somebody, you'll definitely know. He's nonverbal, he's not potty trained, but he has a way of just getting the best out of people.
With the ones that I got to know well, I know what things calm them down. One likes to wrap up in a blanket, kind of hide under the blanket into a tent if life becomes overwhelming with outside stimulation. So sometimes I had a quilt I knew he liked to play with at my house. So I would, if he was going to come to my house, I'd pull the quilt out and set it down so that it would be a safe place to go. So there would be a safe place for them.
During your experience with people with disabilities, during sessions that you have, things are not going to be perfect. Things will go wrong inevitably, and I think you just need to plan on things going wrong.
If your child has covered himself with permanent ink, massage him down with olive oil and then rub him with an old towel. Or you can just wait for a week and it'll go away.
We appreciate when the caregivers are honest with us and tell us exactly what's happened while we're gone, so that we can then take all of that together and help him with his behaviors and help him progress and help him learn and grow. But if they're honest in their questions and the things that are hard for them, then we can help them to better serve him and help him as well.
I mean, there are good days, there are bad days, and you just got to have patience. You know, that's what it comes down to is, you know, the patience to, you know, be able to handle situations if there are any that occur. But I would definitely tell them to try it. It's the most joy that it can bring to your life. That's for sure.
As a caregiver coming into the home, it's really scary to think that maybe a meltdown will happen when the parents aren't there. So I think the first thing is to get as much information as you can from the parents, find the soothing objects that they have. There should be a safe space in the house where they can be that's free of sensory stimulation, that's free of hazardous materials that they can be in and that they can retreat to. So you need that information first. Another part of prevention that I think is the most crucial part is recognizing and praising good behavior when you see it. That is the #1 preventer of bad behavior. Kids with autism may not appear to enjoy the social interaction and appear to enjoy the praise, but in my experience I've found that praise is the #1 preventer of meltdowns.
We do have so much fun together. Normally you like me so much. Why are you going after me, or why are you doing this, or why are you melting down? So the first thing is just kind of keep myself in check and remember that he's got a disability, this is part of it. It doesn't mean anything about me, doesn't mean anything about our relationship or anything like that. We just give them their space, check the surroundings, you know, and try to figure out what we can do to, you know, better the situation. You know, if it's just let them have their time, you know, we'll just leave them be, just stand by the side and just let them, you know, try to figure it out.
They've shown being out of control and angry and upset and mad, and it's taken a while to realize that, well, if I was in his shoes and I couldn't communicate, no way, I wouldn't know what to do either, other than to slam doors, pinch, pull, and you know, do things that can harm people just to get your attention and let you know you don't like it. But like I said earlier, just by changing the surroundings, sometimes stepping back, sometimes you have to, you know, I know the parents have told me sometimes you just have to let them go in a room or they go in a room and let them have at it. I mean, you have to give them their time, but that's kind of frustrating because you always want to be able to communicate and somehow get something across. But I've seen some of those where there's a lot of anger and frustration, and you just have to work with it.
If I ever felt like I needed help, I had a number to call. I've never had to call a number for help. But I also know some respond to music, some respond to the videos with water in them, some respond to the sound of water going, some respond to a blanket. So if I have something around to help them with the meltdown, that helps.
During a meltdown, it's really important to stay calm. That's the #1 thing. You getting agitated, you raising your voice is going to exacerbate the situation. Not over talking, trying to give a bunch of commands during a meltdown is not going to help anything. It's just going to overstimulate the situation and make it worse. So I would say stay calm, have coping strategies yourself. You need to have a plan of what you're gonna do. If it's happening a lot and it's going to be hard for you to handle, you need to have some coping strategies yourself. Are you going to listen to music? Are you going to have your own little worry rock to rub? You need to have some coping strategies yourself.
When a caregiver comes to your home, you may want to inform them that liquid hand soap and toilet paper do not belong in the bathroom.
If it is crowded or loud, he has a complete meltdown, wants to run away. He's a bolter. He's a flighter.
One of the best things you can do as a caregiver to ensure the safety of your child with autism is to install buzzers on your doors. That way, if the child is trying to get away, you will at least know that the door's been opened and that the child's escaping. If your child is missing, first of all is call 911, call the police immediately. Oftentimes, I'd say the #1 mistake people make is they think, well, they spend too much time trying to look for the person, and then with each passing moment, as the minutes tick by, minutes turn into hours, and then before long, a lot of time has passed, and much more difficult for police action when that takes place. Because these children oftentimes have personality differences, different than the normal person, we'll need to know, it'd be very helpful for the police to know if the person is a runner, if they like to hide, are they shy, are they quiet? It's been my experience that most people with autism young or old, typically shy away from people in crowds, yet each one can act very different. Like I said, some hide close by, and it's actually statistically proven that most people missing with or without autism are found very close to, if not on the home, in the home or on the premises. It'd be a really good idea to have an ID kit available to help police in their efforts. Of course, hopefully you would never need to use that.
I think we need to be caregivers not only to care for the children, but to care for the parents of the children, to give them a break. They can become very isolated.
Parents, I think it would be stressful 24/7, and they need that break just to breathe.
It's definitely a roller coaster ride. There are ups and downs, but it's a great ride too. I mean, we laugh, we have funny times and fun times that we, talk about and laugh with our son, and he makes us laugh, and he's happy. And the hard times are hard, but definitely the joy that he has brought to the people around him have far outweighed those bad times. And we're just thankful for all the things he's taught us, and especially that you can do hard things, and those hard things are all such huge celebrations. When he learns something new, or a behavior goes away, they're huge celebrations. So he's just a joy, and it's a good ride. It's a good ride. You can find joy in it.
It will be a different life than you imagined, but it won't be a worse life than you imagined. It'll just be very different.
So as a caregiver, you have a lot of challenges, but you also get to reap a lot of the benefits. The friendship that you build with people is outstanding.
If you choose to wear earrings, necklaces, a watch, you must accept the fact that it will end up being flushed down the toilet.
I think just to be their friend was so important to me, and I learned from it. I would like to say that because I was trying to be there when a friend needed help, that I was helping the friend, but it came back to me so much more ways. I'm so much more blessed by being involved with these families than they are because of me.
I get so much more from it than he does. I feel like I'm being given a gift to just spend time with him. I love to spend time with him. I love to take him to McDonald's and get him nuggets and see him just eat those nuggets down. And like I said, swimming, he loves to swim, and it's just, I'm banking on him being my ticket to heaven, is what I'm hoping on.
Sure, sometimes we would like to look just like a normal family, even if for just 1/15 of a second. But living with autism means we're never going to be normal. But hey, we're happy with unique.